Now to the Labour MP Stephen Kinnock, who joins me now. Good afternoon.
Hello,
to you.
Good afternoon.
How big a fight has Theresa May got now?
Well, it's a huge mountain that she has to climb. Something like 90 of her own MPs have said they won't be voting for the deal. They're saying that publicly. So I think we have to assume that she is now flogging a dead horse. This deal is not going to pass. And the big question then is, where do we go from there? There are a number of options.
Well, before you come on to the options,
Yeah.
let's just talk about the deal that Theresa May has offered. The EU has backed it, and Theresa May is saying, look, if you don't back this, we have no other option. She's right, isn't she?
This threat of no deal is a bluff. I sit on the Brexit Select Committee. We have had hours and hours of evidence from HMRC, from DEFRA, from the pharmaceutical industry, financial services, the farmers, you name it, automotive. They have all said our country could not absorb the shock of leaving the EU without a deal. Moreover, we would have to pass 51 pieces of primary legislation here before the 29th of March to be ready. Lots of secondary legislation as well. It is not going to happen. It's an empty threat. She's doing it for a cynical scaremongering in order to try and bounce us into backing her deal.
Well,
and it's time for Parliament to stand up and take back control.
Quite a lot of people are quite scared. I mean, you use that disparagingly, but a lot of people are thinking, gosh, we don't want that, and are frightened. And the gamble that Theresa May is taking is people are saying, look, just get on with it. Whatever it is, let's just have it.
I think we just can't allow her to bluff us into this. We've got to call her bluff. She has spent the last 2 years with a strategy that's basically been about clinging on to power. Kick the can down the road, get a kind of fudge here and a fudge there, and then Parliament will see it through and we'll just live to fight another day. We've had enough of that. We've got to now stand up, take back control. We've got to show that Parliament does really play an important role in this country and in our politics. We've got to stop just giving the Prime Minister a blank cheque so she can cling on to power for another week or another month.
Now let's talk about the story in The Sun this morning, which suggests that Amber Rudd and Michael Gove are prepared to join you in this Norway Plus idea. Is that a fair way of describing it?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Have you spoken to either of them?
Well, certainly we've had a lot of good conversations with MPs from right across the House. We have a group called Norway Plus.
Have you spoken to Amber Rudd or Michael Gove?
Yeah, I have had conversations with a range of colleagues.
Have you spoken? I'll keep going. Have you spoken to Amber Rudd?
Yeah, look, I've had a good conversation with Amber Rudd. Yes, absolutely. Several very good conversations with her. Of course, she was a backbencher up until very recently. She's now gone into the cabinet.
Nothing in the last few days.
Since she's gone into the cabinet, things, of course, changed. But what I've been very pleased to see is what she's been talking to me and others about as a backbencher is now converting into action with a very important position she has in the cabinet. It's time for us to stop putting the party first. Let's put country first. Let's get a coalition of MPs together to have a deal which delivers on the referendum and which is the only deal that has a chance of reuniting our deeply divided
country. I've got
country.
one question left, and a lot of people are going to be saying, well, has Stephen Kinnock got the answer that has eluded everybody? So just explain what this Norway Plus deal is and how you would get it through, because your leader, Jeremy Corbyn, he'd want a general election before that was a possibility, wouldn't he?
Right, well, two things. First of all, I think the Prime Minister's deal, let's assume she's going to put it to Parliament. Let's assume then that falls, which seems to be very likely. Then there are a range of options. General election maybe, but I don't see the turkeys voting for Christmas. I would love to kick this government out, but I don't see us getting a majority for that here. People's vote possibly, but very divisive, and I really believe that Parliament needs to be taking back control here, not putting it back to the people again. I think that leaves a really clear lifeboat option, a plan B, where there's always been a parliamentary majority for this, which is a deal that sees us stay in the single market through the European Economic Area. We have a form of customs union that solves the Northern Ireland border issue. We leave the EU, but we keep that really close economic relationship, and it gives us far more power and sovereignty than Theresa May's deal, because you have the EFTA court, you have the EFTA surveillance authority, you have a whole range of institutions.
But you're still paying.
We would plug into.
There's still free movement of people. It's not going to satisfy everybody by any means, is it?
So Articles 112...
And you're still paying in.
Article 112 and 113 of the EEA agreement give the opportunity for an emergency break on any one of the 4 freedoms that underpin the single market. We would have to think very carefully about pulling that lever, but of course it would be our sovereign parliament that could make that decision. And in terms of the budget, yes, but show me a club anywhere in the world where if you want to have access to that club, you don't have to pay some kind of membership fee. It's less. Norwegians pay something like 60-70% per capita of what the UK currently pays, and the budget works in a very different way. So I think it's an option, it's a compromise, a strong compromise. You might not have all the people on extreme leave or extreme remain supporting it, but it's a pragmatic, sensible, bridge-building form of Brexit, and that's what the country is crying out for.
Stephen Kinnock, good to see you. Thank you very much.